Cache warm up, runtime errors on NGS. Okay. Runtime errors on NGS. Okay. Enable timeline MHC replacing Totem. Enable timeline MHC Launch and Trident. Enable Launch and Trident. This optimization is increasingly architecture, not just kernel level. Mega MOE adoption. Awesome 90. Hmm. I'm not participating in this open AI outscale. I got selected, but the thing is they aren't giving me any credits for use for codecs because it is a open AI specific competition. So I thought they should be giving credits like we got for Anthropic when we participated in their hackathon. When I participated in their hackathon. So it is a session link here saying that they will connect today at 7 p.m. to learn about Tech 101 and Codex. I don't know if I should be joining this event. Let's register. It is on my calendar now.
I'm a group product manager at Google Cloud. I'm the head of product for migrations. And so, what we're going to talk today is give you a synopsis of what Google is doing and what we are investing in and how we are kind of shaping up automation to help your migrations and your transformations easier, faster, more predictable, lower cost, and happen more tangibly for you. And then Ian is going to share their thought process, their migration journey thus far, and how they have planned and thought and prepared for it. And then we'll get into a small fireside chat where we can talk to Ian and pick his brains more on some of the nuances as we, all think through migrations being a big change for us. So, without further ado, right? I mean, the first thing is why migrate, and why are we even having this conversation? So, in this era of AI ready data, the question top of your mind and top of lots of our minds is my data AI ready? Which means that is my data able to deliver what my aspirations are, where my business is going towards, and what business outcomes I want to achieve? And which means there are quite a few different things. Is it unified? Is it high quality? Is it multimodal? Which means that can I support images, video, text, audio, etc. in the same pane of glass? Is it governed and secure? Not as fragmented governance, not as bits and pieces governance, but more on is this governed and secure from a single entry point, from a single point of view? Does that keep you up at night? I'm sure it does. Is the data accessible? Are my users able to automatically and in a short amount of time be able to access the data in the patterns and with the permissions they want to access? Is my data semantically enriched? Which means that does the data have all business tags, all business information which is very specific to your business? Is it accompanying the data so that when that data is used, those business decisions can be business decisions, not just technology orchestrating through your data? Is the data real time? Very, very critical. Uh, Things that happen in milliseconds, microseconds, do you have that capability to be able to take action on that? And finally, is the data scalable? Which means no matter if I'm talking about gigabytes or streaming real time use case, or I'm talking about petabytes, is my platform able to scale? And those are the reasons which we typically see uh, that people, customers, they actually move towards modernizing the architecture, but hit the truth that most existing data architectures don't meet the needs of the AI era. As a result, there are spiraling costs. So you are growing silos, and there are increasing costs with maintaining silos. Consequently, there are performance bottlenecks. Because of performance bottlenecks, innovation gets impeded, gets blocked. And as a result, future growth is impeded. So there's a mismatch of impedance. There is where you as a business owner want to be, and reality is that this is where your data is forcing you to stay at. To be able to move through and past that, your AI or your data demands a new foundation because you are in the AI era. AI era means infinitely scalable, agentic first, cloud native approaches that actually create a foundation for you where all your data is unified. You don't have to worry about maintaining silos and building patchworks to stitch those silos together. You don't have to worry about pockets of information, pockets of knowledge, because everyone should be empowered with speed. And data in the AI era should empower everyone with speed. You're talking about limitless scale. Doesn't matter. Again, it's petabytes, it's exabytes, it's real time, it's massive scale. It's all a part of massive amounts of data processing in the AI era. And so should be just a you know a milestone in a journey, should not be a blocker. And then intelligence is embedded everywhere. That's what the true AI era unlocks. Intelligence is in every part of the data, in every part of the processing, in every decision. So decisions can be very granularly made. So which means that you are able to build and deploy machine learning models directly on your data, either using simple SQL or using open engines like Spark and Python. So with that, let me switch gears and start talking about migrations. Migrations traditionally has been a taboo word with high risk and complexity and huge cost. So migrations from wherever you are to be able to modernize your assets, they've traditionally been multi-year timelines, huge change management. Brittle and substantial parts of migrations have been manual, just because there was little to no automation. And as a result of those, costs become unpredictable. You don't know how much of the onion peeling is remaining and a high risk of failure. So as Ian, the leader of one of the companies who's deciding to make that change, talks to you about readiness on getting the stakeholders aligned, getting everybody to agree on such a large degree of change. What we've been doing on our side in Google is we've been working very actively, investing very heavily to mitigate all of these and to reduce timelines to make the process as predictable, as automatable as possible. And for that, we are heavily leveraging AI. So AI is actually changing the migration game for us, because what we've had investments over the last few years in building a very solid deterministic platform. And AI enablement was a blessing in disguise for us. So what has happened is that in a very short period of time, we've been able to go from multi-year migrations to literally migrations happening end to end in a few months. And they are AI enabled. AI has been embedded in every part of our product portfolio, where it takes the human and the uncertainty out of the loop. So we have AI enabled end to end migrations. As a result, they're more predictable and they're on budget or in the ballpark of the budget. And for leaders like Ian, they are de risked and future proof, with the proof of that being provided as part of the migrations. So, what we have in Google's Data Cloud, is an approach that covers all aspects of your migration, be it an enterprise data warehouse, or can be a data lake transition. So, you are centralizing your data assets into a data lake, and you're moving unstructured and structured data together and processing in frameworks. So, data is one aspect, processing engines are another, governance and identity layers, applications. So we have a substantial amount of automation which is AI enabled for each of these footprints of migration. What we do is we map your ecosystem to your new foundation for the AI era. BigQuery is a world class analytics engine, and it is a planet scale, truly a planet scale data warehousing solution. Supports a multimodal data foundation. We have Big Lake, which is a very flexible, unified point of execution of all your data assets. So your data can be in open formats, uh, can be multimodal, and you can have a variety of engines run on it. But entry point, governance, everything is singular. And that is what our Big Lake platform is. And the third core product area that we get to work on with you for modernizing your data stack is DataProc. DataProc is an a platform where we provide a service to run all of your open stacks on. DataProc has world-class Spark performance, Spark engines, or any other open source engines that are running natively, first class, fully integrated with AI ML and with Google Cloud Services. All right, so let's jump into specifics. I'm going to talk a little bit about BigQuery migration services, which is the product that helps support your transition, your journey into Google Cloud. And what we have is a myriad of sources that BigQuery migration services are able to achieve a high degree of automation with. So, be it sources on traditional data warehouses like Teradata or Greenplum, Redshift. There's a whole lot of warehouse sources. We actually support 18, 19 data warehouse sources. So your SQL jobs can be in any flavor, any dialect. In addition, we also support sources that are data lake, that are Spark, that are big data. So things like Cloudera, or you could be coming from on-prem Hadoop. You could be running Spark, and you could have open source languages like Trino or frameworks like Trino running on your source application. We migrate all of that. We are also able to migrate Informatica ETL pipelines that are a key component of any data architecture. So the sources and dialects is a pretty big footprint, and we consistently achieve a high degree of automation. For some of the most mature sources, we we achieve 95% automation. So what that means is that the amount of human effort is actually reduced from, let's say, tens of people working for X number of months to a very small number of people working for weeks. How do we achieve that? We have migration services addressing three different parts of the funnel. So we view it as a funnel. We view it as a funnel through which you will be transitioning as you decide to modernize your workload. The first part of the funnel is we help you with assessing what you're running and discovery, which means that a clear inventorying of all your assets. Now, here is where it gets very interesting. We just don't inventory, we do two other things with that. We are able to, through our automation, create a view of how those workloads would land on our platform. So we are able to simulate a view that's completely based on your workloads, on how those workloads will land and behave. We are able to give you an estimated total cost of ownership. So it's a projection, but it's a very fine-grained projection. And the third thing that we are able to do is we are able to tell you how to land, so which is the plan and prepare. This is interesting because this is where our migration services that are further down the funnel, they really shine. So you have code migrations, you have data migrations. We are able to build an all-up view of all of those pretty much right off the gate at the assess and discover and plan and prepare phases. What that does for you, it essentially takes a lot of guesswork out for you as the leader who's taking the transformation on. It gives you standing ground to go and make that case with your leadership, to connect the financial to the operational, and to be able to quantify the risk. So Google Cloud and our Google's Data Cloud is the single biggest, most comprehensive first-party migration ecosystem that exists anywhere for any of the cloud providers. We are literally leading edge of the curve, and we've been investing in it for the last 5-6 years. I mean, when none of the other cloud providers were actually, productizing migrations or the capability to automate migrations. So, assessment and discovery is done, planning and preparation is done. We are kind of doing this process in a matter of days and weeks, not in months to several quarters. Now is the time to migrate and optimize. For that, we have key services. We have a translation service. So no matter where your code is running and what flavor of the code is running, again, can be SQL, can be things like scripts, can be Python, can be Spark jobs. We are able to, with a combination of AI and a deterministic engine, be able to combine those and be able to automatically migrate large parts of those. So that's the translation bucket. There is data migration. Data migration gets very interesting because it is about data and metadata. So what we are able to do is we are able to not only move your existing data assets, we are able to modernize your upstream pipelines and your downstream applications. And the way we are able to do this is we move them to a place which best suits your modern architecture. Google Cloud has a number of first party services for supporting uh, different flavors of data. And then, of course, you're achieving unified governance and you're achieving uh, unified access. So we are setting all of that up as part of the data migration pillar. And then the last piece, which again used to take a lot of time, was is this data ready? Is this production ready? So you're spending a lot of effort in automating validation, in generating test cases for you. So we have a third pillar where the actual time to get you started is substantially reduced because of data validation. Illustrating this, but we do have a proven and phased migration methodology, and I will just quickly show you a couple of snapshots of what we do. So assess and discovery, I double clicked on it before. We are able to discover your assets. We are able to generate TCO for your workloads and do a value analysis, cost savings, expansion of workloads, additional use cases, clearly understand dependencies. And the way this information is available to you is through a very comprehensive, fully automatically generated report, a system generated report. This is available in Looker Studio. Looker Studio and Looker are the foremost BI and conversational analytics platform that Google Cloud supports. So this is for yours to consume. This is tunable, and this is able to get into the specific details of what you are and where you are needing different artifacts to come together to for you to be able to understand how this migration journey is going to look like. So existing system compatibility, and then how do you get there? The BigQuery steady state. This is just a sample screenshot, but there's a lot of detail, and all of this is generated and delivered automatically. Doing a value analysis, so we're taking your actual workload, we are fitting a curve shape on what capacity do you need. Do you need slots that are reserved? There's part of the workload that should auto scale. And what you actually end up seeing is a finite dollar number at the bottom right of your screen. This is incredible. I mean, this is done without a human ever inputting anything in the system. This is purely based on the fully automatic analysis of your system. We have other capabilities which turn out to be very helpful. We have a product that generates a source lineage for all the sources that we support. What that source lineage does, it provides you a detailed dependency graph of what your existing assets are. How are they interrelated? How should you think about moving them? How should you think about decoupling or recoupling the dependencies that exist on your source system? And we are able to do that at a very, very, very granular level. Again, all of this is taking the guesswork out, is giving you the determinism, and is giving you reduction in variability, and is letting you move at speed and move at scale. So in the plan and prepare, we do help get your ETL and ELT, which is your pipelines, upstreams, the ecosystem strategy correct. And we are able to basically say, okay, how is your entire ecosystem going to look and work as you modernize it? So we define a future state architecture, we prescribe clear modernization paths. So automation has covered a huge part. Now's the time for you or your partners to take a step back to consume what has been provided and hopefully get a very, very clear roadmap for you aligned, where you know that I'm going to move X, Y, and Z before I move some of the other assets. Here is the reason. Here is how I will be, or my state architecture state will be as I'm migrating for the next, let's say, few months when I'm running a stack that's modernized and I'm still running part of the old stack on my old source system. We do provide proof of concept solutions. So basically, we will take a sample workload and we will land it on our data cloud platform so that you are able to very clearly articulate things like price, performance, etc. So this is where the rubber hits the road. This is where we say, okay, we are we were talking about a lot of things. Our automation has gotten us a long way. Very early in your cycle, you are able to see now things in production, and then the actual migration. So I covered a lot of this stuff before, but this is the phase that gives or used to give people a lot of sleepless nights, and for a good reason. So this is where a huge amount of our investments go in. This is top of mind for us. And this is where we have world class automation for getting a migration done. What we've seen is we have seen workloads uh, use our migration automation and then get into production in a matter of weeks. I mean, the the graph has come down typically from, as I was saying earlier, like 3 to 4 years to literally large scale, like Fortune 100 companies getting workloads in production, part of their workloads in production in under a month. That's the level of automation that's available here. But uh, at this point, I want to introduce and hand over to Ian, who's going to talk to you about, as a leader of a very fast moving, a very critical path company, how's he thinking about the migrations, and you get to hear it from first party. So over to you, Ian.
Perfect. Thank you, Mohit. It's funny, you're going through your slides and it brought me back to the whole process we went through together. So it wasn't as tragic as I thought it was going to be, because it was actually such an amazing process to work together on. I think what I want to start with is talking a little bit about Cadent, who we are, so you can understand just how important data is to the success of our business. And Cadent is one of the leading ad tech platforms, and we've been lucky to have a long-standing and amazing relationships with thousands of brands and hundreds of agencies. And we are a company that has really sort of built a platform that both supports our managed service business and our self-service business. And we have also been a platform that has been driven our innovation by several acquisitions that's played a key role in sort of building Cadent as we see it today. And what has been key to us as a business is sort of the business of transformation is at our core. Over the years, we've acquired multiple companies, we've entered in new markets, we've completely rethought our product in GTM. And as we've evolved as a company through the different migrations of our industry, being focused on TV, then tackling the same challenges with video, and then finally to where we are today, a completely sort of all media, all solution, omni-channel buying, we're taking all that process and we're now focusing our business on this tectonic shift, which is AI. And for us as a company, the common theme has always been about using data to remove complexity and drive results for our customers. And so data is at our core in terms of how we've built and brought it all together. And so when you think about this as a company, we were at a really interesting fork in the road as a business and industry. So I love ad tech. I mean, it's one of our core values at Cadent that we bring passion to everything we do. And that passion is for our industry, for our clients, for our industry. And when you think about one of the major hallmarks of our industry, if you think about ad technology in general, throughout the last 30 years, we've seen significant changes through new technology introductions, the introduction of RTB, the introduction of mobile and how that has changed how people consume content, the introduction of audiences and audience management and how that's completely shifted the landscape. And where we are again is we're at a very critical spot where we are again looking at a tectonic sort of technology change in AI, and we had to rethink how we're going to go to market. So if Cadent was a company of both product and acquisition innovation, and anyone knows has been through that process, and we've done over 6 acquisitions, acquisition creates a massive amount of overhead, multiple development languages, systems, tools, We had code on every imaginable platform across our ecosystem. We acquired a company that ended up getting me a data center in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. And I didn't even think data centers were a thing anymore, but we ended up owning a data center. And so we had this incredible challenge as being a company in an industry that loves to chase features was how do we convince our executives, our clients, our board, our complete employee base that we were at an inflection point with AI that demanded a reset for a different technology platform. And the key to that discussion when it's done right is your infrastructure partner and your platform is a competitive differentiator. King's Reset was not just about cleaning up systems and getting rid of tech debt, which every product and engineering team loves to talk about. They love to talk about tech debt. The driving factor between our reset was that as a company, we were looking at a shift in the industry. And because of that shift in the industry, we had to build a new foundation for our business. And that had to be built on the new era of ad tech, specifically tailored around AI and how that's reshaping our consumer experiences, our client experiences, and even our partner experiences. And the conversation that came was the next age of our industry, the next stage or phase of our industry, wasn't going to be built on yesterday's systems, but rather on a new structure, pipelines, models that collect and structure data and surface data in ways the other systems are just not set up to accomplish. And that was really the driving factors. We're starting to look at these things because the existing ecosystem just didn't exist for us in terms of what we wanted to accomplish as a business. And AI-driven platforms are not bolted onto systems of the past. It's not something where you can just take it and sort of add it as a feature set onto your existing systems. They're purpose-built for where you need to go. And when we presented that option to our business stakeholders, when we presented where we wanted to go and connected where we wanted to be as a business against where the industry was going and how the shifts are happening, it was obvious that we had to take the path that allowed us to build the technology platform of the future, which is, let me be perfectly clear, the harder and more expensive, at least in the short term, path. But we were lucky that we had a team and we had the information in our hands as we went through this process to drive the business to support us in the willingness to do the hard things, in the willingness to take the leap. And we had a client base and an industry that was driving us to do more. And that really what came to our moment of saying, how do we come together and do this? And so we identified the need, since I'm talking about this process is very much at the beginning, to align with one strategic partner. And the partner had to have the platform and the systems and the support so that we can completely rethink our technology. The bar for that strategic partner was incredibly high. And it's rightfully so. The investment we'd make to require both hard costs and opportunity costs. We had to be certain the platform was not just a technical decision, but also a business one that drove our competitive advantage. And that competitive advantage had to be that differentiator we're looking for in market. We were actually in a unique situation at this time. The benefit of our situation is we had relationships because of all the acquisitions we've made. We had a contract with every cloud provider. I had code and contracts and relationships with every cloud provider. And so we basically got in a room and told everyone we're going to align on one strategic partner. And that strategic partner is going to be the core of our solution that will help us build where we're trying to align our data systems, to bring our data together and allow to build with AI in our core. And I have to be honest, I will say this as part of the thing. Google came to play and win with a multifaceted solution that included the infrastructure. Let's not talk about the importance of the BigQuery and the systems that were in place, but also a strong business partner to help us be successful in the migration and to help us work in our industry, and AI core technologies, true AI core technologies that allowed us to build for our product and our internal systems. So the truth is, if all we were looking for was a check-the-box, modern, scalable, feature parity system, the obvious answer was not Google, as the migration initiative to Google was the harder path. However, it was Google's partnership that allowed us to build our platform that accentuated our uniqueness and actually also accelerated our transformation with the tool set in both our team point of view. Remember, this is also about moving teams over, right? And our technology point of view to allow us to feel comfortable to make this move and bring it together and actually build our system on this new platform. And the key about this was about, as every technology change is about, it's about technology, but it was also about our people and how we invest time to let them evolve and market. So when you think of the migration, you're not just migrating technology, you're migrating teams. We are a 600 person plus company. Over 50% of our staff is engineers. And we had engineers who were specialists in AWS, Azure. We had specialists in Databricks. We had specialists with Snowflake. We had specialists all over the place. And the migration was about shifting our technology, but also shifting our team so that they can grow and really build the expertise to get the most out of our shift. So in this industry, we operate in a very dynamic industry, and we're processing billions of unstructured data points all the time in real time across our systems. Our product and engineering needs knows that how you build something, we talk about this all the time to the slide, is how you build something matters, right? There is something in how you build and the tools you use. And we recognize that for our AI strategy and for us to move through this process to succeed, the structure and quality of our data were going to be paramount. With billions of unstructured data points in industry just beginning to tackle CTV, which had a whole different set of rules, we knew we had sort of a very big undertaking for us. And our strategy was to lead the market required a foundational shift. So we worked together between Google and Cadent to really do things for the first time for both of us, which is first of its kind sort of AI development framework that we built a modern data foundation by streamlining our processes and pipelines and tools on the Google Cloud to help us migrate, creating a robust ecosystem that really allowed us to manage the high volume, complex data and path towards standardizing our enterprise data. And once you've done that, standardizing across your enterprise data, it was able to support our downstream solutions. This foundation supported our AI and ML and analytics initiatives, enabled us to build custom models on the Vertex AI and innovate using the full Google AI ecosystem. This was sort of tackling all aspects. We were looking at BigQuery, but we were also looking at Vertex. And so at that point, this is where we're sort of seeing both that decision point from a business, the evaluation process that Mohit, you talked us all through, that ability to sort of really predict where you're going to end up and the value of where you're going to end up before you got there, to really where we're at this point now, where our transformation is starting to meet impact, where we're starting to see how these things are coming together. And as I said, we're sort of in the early stages of these, but if I was going to talk about these three areas that sort of were standout for us during this process, I'd sort of jump on these three things. I think number one, you've heard me say this a lot through this conversation, is it's business transformation, not just a technical transformation. The key is getting buy-in and, more importantly, support from the executive team and the board was how we presented this business transformation. We weren't here just to do something technical in the background. We're here to really drive business goals. So we didn't separate the technology plan from our business goals. We actually linked the two together and demonstrated values in cost savings, in improvement of performance, in ability to do more feature sets faster to build to where we go. And we've seen this sort of transformation as a critical component to our competitive advantage. So yes, we're moving our infrastructure to GCP and modernizing our data structure with BigQuery, but that was only part of the shift as well, because we actually also brought in agents on every one of our 600 plus employees' desktops. And we were building connectors because we started to bring our data together in a single environment into our platform directly to drive faster times for our clients and create more effective teams internally. So we actually had agents connecting to our platform and driving data directly into the hands of our employees and sort of democratizing data in our business that we've never seen before. And so we were able to start building specific agents such as our RFI generation tool, which actually helped our team go through it, our data access and visualization tools. We leveraged a flexible, we really looked at different ways of doing this. We leveraged a flexible approach that spans from no code development. So we can actually, because the data was now available to people on our team, from account managers to salespeople, they could do no code development to drive that data into their hands to make them smarter. And so we had no code, we had low code solutions to full engineering efforts. That approach was serving concrete efficiencies that we were able to talk throughout the migration that we're still in. We have already been able to see improvements of efficiencies across the team and campaign performance, even during the migration. And then when you take all that and move it to our product side, as a company that provides solutions to thousands of agencies who use our technology as hands-on keyboard to solve their business challenges, it was more that allowed us to just we didn't go to market with just a bolt-on chatbot that might have suggestions for how I might swivel a chair sort of to my next system and make an answer. Because we had an integrated solution set with our data, we had the ability to integrate AI into actionable ways to keep within the user flow. So there was no shift from the way we use it. We saw the Google stack and the AI tools and the Vertex platforms as a way to build something our competitors could not. And to be quite honest, we are a large, massive sort of company in the ad tech space, but we do have to punch above our weight class in terms of innovation. You always have to punch above your weight class in terms of innovation. And this allowed us to do it. At the same time, because we did these sort of changes throughout the process, our executive teams started to become advocates because they could see how the users, how the impact of this data and migration systems would impact their day-to-day. They were brought into our product vision. So everyone in our organization, from GTM to finance team and HR, adopted the vision and made this truly a company-wide initiative. This wasn't something that was the problem of the guys in the back trying to figure this out. This was, how do we bring it together as a business to make it a company-wide? So that connection between business and competitive advantage and technical, and bringing that triangle together, competitive advantage, was really critical to success. The second piece I do want to talk about is there's never a happy path. If you've done development, as much as we've done development, right? The product and engineering professionals love their happy path, the uncomplicated thing. Whenever you do a feature, you send it to QA and they go, here's the happy path. However, you must start this knowing and understanding there is no happy path, right? This is a complicated path. This is difficult to do, and something is going to go wrong, like absolutely. I described this a lot when I was talking to the teams internally, is that this is like a kitchen renovation. And in any renovation, you're going to have a moment where you're behind, right? You're going to have major issues. You're going to hate your contractor, maybe. Do you know what I mean? You're going to find something was leaking. You're not sure. But that's okay if you go in knowing this is not a happy path solution. This is what you're trying to do here is hard because you're trying to lead the industry and do something transformative in terms of technology. So how do you address that? And we came up to a few things that we reorganized and sort of linked with the migration teams at Google. And one was tracking is key. We're building teams that gets information quickly. We were on migration calls every single week. We were able to make fast decisions, and we were brutally honest with each other. We're brutally honest when the migration team was behind, and we're brutally honest when my development team was behind. We talked about getting tracking, getting information to the team, address that concern. Secondly, blockers are momentum killers. Anything that slows a team down is a momentum killer. And we were building systems to address that so that we were getting rid of blockers as fast as we possibly can. And I think the last one where I spent a lot of my time was dependency management and architecture are key. You showed, when we talked about it, I said it reminded me of the process where you looked at the architecture and you're able to give us that architecture, the before, the after, how we're going to get through the process. When you're doing these major transformations, the business still needs to run, right? And managing features, infrastructure, and innovation is a constant juggling act. And as a leader in this space, as a leader of the teams and executive in the organization, when we're looking at sort of addressing the challenges that would come up, we realized that most of our time was about connecting the dots and driving communication, right? Connecting the dots in the architecture and how this infrastructure system was impacting this feature and how we're doing this AI innovation solution was going to bring this together. And I think that was one of the key areas we really focused on. When you think, don't focus on the happy path, build build tools and systems in place so that you can adjust quickly and succeed. And then finally, I couldn't agree with you more. For me, we talked a lot about incrementality. Small shifts results in big wins. You were talking about migration, and both of us, I think, have done migrations most of our career. You can see the gray in my beard. This all didn't come because of Google. This has been there because I've been in the industry for a while. But migrations used to be like light switches. It was build, test again, maybe launch, maybe roll back. And it was like you sort of launched into this 2-year, 3-year project that your executive team sort of was wondering when it was going to end. Do you know what I mean? Even your internal teams were wondering when it's going to end. And with today's systems and today's migration tools, you can make decisions and assess performance and success costs earlier in the process. You can make incrementality a benefit to the business. And so you can do migrations can also start having more of a product roadmap feel to it almost, where you aim for progress over perfection. And if your foundation is sound, and I think this is actually really, really important, if your foundation is sound and you've taken the thought and you've built on the top right foundation, optimization will always be possible. It never ends. You're always, once you've got the foundation, optimization possible. So you plan that as part of your process so you can show that incrementality. We also, to your point, we did the exact same thing you did, is we used AI to bring multiple systems together. In that mid period of time, AI is great at bringing fragmentation together. And it was addressing our fragmentations across the board. So we were while we're migrating, we're creating business value throughout the journey. We surfaced custom build agents even before they were integrated in the product. So our managed service team could actually do what we're building on making this AI native platform, right? The future of where we're going, even before it was integrated in the product where our clients can see it, because they could use it through agent space because we had agent space on everyone's desk, and sort of that interconnectivity where we can launch things very quickly. And that's super exciting. So to sort of talk about our migration journey, our process where we're right at the beginning. And I was going to sort of wrap up the journey so far because we still have ways to go and we're still moving through the process. Is as a company, we've always been about transformation. It's part of who we are. We've evolved through every big shift in the industry, and that's been important to us. And now we're embracing the next one. And that journey is as much about our people as our technology, both from our business people and our teams, and rethinking how we work, how we build, how we deliver for our clients. And partnering for Google helped us take the harder path, but the right one, right? Because building an AI native platform truly sets us up for the future because that's where it's going. It's not going to be a bolt-on. It's not going to be people who try to slap it on to sort of make it look good for marketing. It's going to be people who fundamentally look at how their data is being structured. Is it being organized and the pipelines being created to allow to transform that, being activated in tools so you don't have hallucinations, that you get the right data in the people, that there's data governance and control that brings it together. And so if we're truly building that platform future, a platform that drives real results for clients and sets a new standards for Pulsal and AdTech, it allows us as a company, with Google's help, is that we're not just adapting to the change, it helps us get ahead of it and we're leading the change. And I think that's how you sort of see the journey that we've had so far.
Thank you. Thank you. And you touched upon so many things. And I think this will resonate with every single leaders who are out there thinking about this or instrumenting this change. So first of all, thank you for the amazing insights. Now, I do have a couple of questions for you. It's very interesting. I mean, you touched upon so many areas. Let me see if I can pick a few and pick your brains a little bit on. So you are kind of tip of the spear. You're punching above your weight. You are the innovation driver in your sector. And as you were thinking and planning about this migration, there is, you referred to it, there is an upskilling, there's a reskilling, just because, systems change around things. How did you think through and how did you work with balancing what's working in your core development, in your products, in your areas versus, how much did you allocate for change? If you can just talk a little bit about that.
That's a great question. I think probably one of the things we talk about most as a leadership team is our capacity as team to digest change. because it gets to the point where there's too much change and it's very, very hard to do. And when we talk about change, we're changing people's jobs. We had people who had built their career on top of bluntly AWS, right? Like who built their career on Redshift and knowing Redshift better than anything else. So two things happened. One, we built a training program with Google and actually got both certification and credits to allow us to build out that training organization for the team and presented it to the team as an investment in them, right? Which is really important to us. This was, we're not making just a choice from the business and we're sort of ripping the rug out from them. We are going to invest in them and help them get through the change and help them get excited because, and we're seeing this already in our process, they're learning so much. People are certifying themselves. They're getting excited about the technology. They're trying new things because the technology gives them that ability. And so we had a huge program for upskilling, reskilling the systems and going through that. At the same time, it's almost, you're going to find this funny because you've been focused so much on accelerating the migration as fast as you possibly can. But there's how fast you can go and how fast you should go, right? And so we sort of had a structured approach to make sure that when we managed change with the team, we did it not in such a way that blew up the momentum or created that concern, because our success is based on the team, right? Our people build the code, people build the solutions, people architect it together. And so our key was, we're going to continue to invest in the team. We're going to continue to invest in upskilling. We're going to work on certification. And whether they stay, our hope is always to great. We have an amazing engineering organization, QA, data, all of them are just an incredible group of people. But we made the choice that we're going to invest in them. And they are going to have better resumes after this. And we hope they have better resumes with us. But even if it didn't matter to us, they have better resumes. They're going to be more excited to have more skill sets after they've gone through this process. And I think that's how we attacked the upskilling. That it really was. It wasn't something to be scared of. It wasn't something that you're worried about. It was something that was going to be career defining, right? That was going to help you go and build. We have to work in the ecosystem, right? We, even to this day, we still have some AWS work. You have to work across the board. I'm sure we have that stuff, right? But having a broader breadth for your employees really is an advantage for them. And we really focused on that.
So many pearls of wisdom. I mean, what you just said is the laws of physics are the laws of physics, and people are the most valuable asset to your business, and people are also probably the most difficult to instrument change. But planning and rigorous planning ahead of time, ahead of the actual events, I think is a message that's at least resonating with me very loud and clear. Teeing off on that, if you can share with our viewers, what were some of the surprises, both good and bad, as you were going through this process? What have you hit so far in either dimension?
Actually, I'm going to do one that was both good and bad. Mm-hmm. And bad when it happened, good for the long term. And what I mean by that, when you talked about the migration, and you're a company of acquisitions, we bought multiple companies. We have a complex ecosystem of tool sets. We have, a single platform to market with 3 different solution sets, from identity management to delivery and execution to publisher management. We have all these tools, inventory manager, ad manager. And we're in business for a while. You're always going to open something up and find a surprise. Right? You're gonna go, someone's gonna open something up and go, well, I didn't know that worked that way. Do you know what I mean? Like, I didn't know that had so many scripts in it, or had so many DAGs in it, or had so many chefs. Like, whatever that may be, you're gonna open something and get a surprise. And I think that obviously is, at the moment, that is the bad thing. That's where you take a deep breath and go, okay, this project just increased in scope 62% or 22% or whatever that number is. But I tend to try to be more positive about everything in life. It's a better way than being the opposite. What we also found was there's an opportunity to actually also, and this was a pleasant surprise, crack our system open and think about it differently. Mm-hmm. Yes, we did that 5 years ago, and that made sense 5 years ago. And we did that 2 years ago, and that made sense 2 years ago. But with this new business strategy and this AI native platform we're building, and how we're integrating with Vertex and GCP and all the different components of the system, how we're bringing all our models together, right? We actually were able to look at each other and go, we can do this better. We can change this. And that was probably one of the best surprises. Is there were many times where I'm going to contradict myself, where I sort of said, well, we move and then we'll optimize. There was many situations where we opened something up and we actually decided we're going to optimize before we move. Like, this is that important. This gives us an opportunity to rebuild this model. It gives us an opportunity to rebuild this data pipeline in a way that really sets us up for success. So I think when you ask me, what was the surprises and the benefits, the surprises was what the surprises you'd expect, right? We opened up things and, no one wrote any of their notes in the code. It was someone who we don't even know who was there, that person was there anymore, and that's surprising. Or it was just like, that made sense then, doesn't make sense now. And the positive on the other side was having a new foundation gave the team a new way to rethink the platform that really drove the shift for our business when you think about that. So it's sort of the double-edged sword, but I think both of them were on both sides of it.
Absolutely. And, this is a football analogy I follow, and I'm a big fan of football, but I can't help but think the analogy of, how you enable quarterback protection in the pocket so that the quarterback can then throw a long one, like a 50, 60 yarder, as opposed to like a 2-yard, 3-yard play. And sometimes that's what's the game changer. Very, very pertinent advice. Thank you. I'm going to tee this now that you are going through this. How does the partnership with Google look like? I mean, you've alluded quite a bit to it, but how do you envision the future going forward? Short term, medium term?
So there's two things. One, and look, I'm going through the thick of it right now, so it's sort of there, but we can already see the light at the end of the tunnel in terms of how we're thinking about the vision in the first place. I think there's continued business partnership. How do we work together in the industry? How do we work together in the market? Even just these conversations are super beneficial as two companies coming together and highlighting what each other are doing incredibly well. So there's stronger business partnerships. But I really think that the real key here is we've been working over the last 6 months as part of the migration, as sort of a separate stream to the migration, was our AI innovation, which is taking the systems and building it out. And we've had to build together. We've built development tools because, everyone's sort of, it's just a model garden. It's just Vertex. Like, in terms of merging, like, you have to build like a development tool on it. Then you have to take that development tool and you have to build the models and bring it all together. AI, when I talked about it, we don't want to bolt on chatbots, right? We want to fundamentally change the way the client uses the system. And I'm going to say this, it sounds crazy, but I think real AI is boring, meaning someone just wakes up and it just solves their problem for them. It's not a flashy thing. A client wakes up and goes into our platform and immediately knows of the 2,000 campaigns they're running. What are the 5 that are the most important to them? And what do they need to do that 5 to make that successful? Now, what's really hard about that is people don't understand how much work comes into building the foundation to make that moment happen, right? The creation of the agents on top of unique custom agents on top of Vertex, then the building of the AI and the ML models that bring those two pieces together, right, to make it actionable. And then the final step of integrating into the platform, which people go, oh my gosh, this is going to change the way I do my business. So I see so much more work in that area between Google and ourselves, where we're really going to push the envelope together on what your core technologies can do and what we can do with it in our industry. Does that make sense? If you look at how the partnership works, we bring the expertise of the industry. We know how our clients work, how the systems work, how the data points look, what the data points mean. Like, we have that. You have the foundation that allows us to get the most out of that expertise, that drives the best value for our clients internally and externally. And I just see that is where I'm the most excited about, where we take this partnership and moving it forward. And then there's easy things too, like continued optimization of the systems. As you said, the goal here is to get to a better per unit cost for how we deliver services. And I would also say continued investment in my team. I have team members we have a pretty expansive global team that fly in. And I have team members who come in and they stop at Google, right, to get more training, to talk about different ideas. And it's really seeing that is great to sort of see the investment in each other. So I think those are the areas we'll focus on.
Thank you for sharing that. And, it's partnerships with teams like yourselves, which helps us drive the innovation and that kind of the foundation that you just talked about.
Yeah, we've beta tested 3 or 4 things, and it's been amazing to be the first one trying this. Yeah. And look, it's selfish on my part, right? Because it allows me to innovate faster, and I get ahead of the ball in terms of what we can do with that, right? So absolutely. It's fantastic.
Yeah, and looking forward to a continuing great partnership. Any final words of wisdom for data leaders who are thinking about starting a migration? I know you covered a lot of aspects of it, but what would be like 1 or 2 things that would kind of help them if they're sitting on the fence now, later, anything that you could share with them?
I think I'll probably say one thing on this to people who are sitting on the fence. Don't be afraid to do the hard thing, right? What keeps people on the fence usually is fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of the risks, right? Rather than the focus of the opportunity of once you've done the hard thing, what you can actually do with your business. And if there's one piece of advice, I would focus on that. Don't be afraid to do the hard thing. Don't be afraid about taking that risk. The tools, the systems in place allows us to take more risks. And I think companies like ourselves at our scale are always afraid to, rock the boat, right? If you're going to say that. And I think if I was going to take one thing, I said, and look, we went through the whole process, right? We had to have an engaged board who was willing to allow us to take the risk and an executive team who's going to back us up, even when we get through the hard parts. But don't be afraid to take the risk, because the hard stuff is where you make something happen.
Such a powerful thing to say. And again, just reiterating on that we from Google are there to support you to take that
Absolutely.
difficult decision or that hard step every step of the way. Ian, thank you again so much for sharing really helpful insights with folks who might be thinking about migrations, and really sharing lots of wonderful details and things around how to make the process smoother, more seamless, and less risky.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
So for those of you who are looking and thinking about migrations, here is a web page for you to be able to go and learn more about what we're doing at Google Cloud and how can we support you in this journey. With that, thank you very much, and look forward to speaking with and connecting with a lot of you. Thank you.
could be here. Over the byline, corner kick to come. Side against playing it in. There's nothing obvious on. Timber. Good work from Spartans to win it back. A vital block. What a block that was. And we haven't had to wait long for the... as the game restarts. This has to be. Oh, you can't stop them now. They've got another in double quick time. Timber. Good idea, but the radar was out. They're not getting close enough here. Messi. Now with Iniesta. Spartans with the ball again. Now here's an invitation. Still trying to find the space. Oh, that was a wonderful chance, and it surely had to be at least on target. Valverde. Just needs the composure now. Magnificent save, top draw goalkeeping. And they've gone with a short one. Played in with that. Have a go here. Oh, it was well worth a go, but it's gone narrowly wide. Oh dear, trouble here. The ref points to the spot without hesitation. Make it